What up, nerds, and welcome to another killer episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 341, recorded on Sunday, October 17th, 2021. Tonight, we are finally going to be talking about the latest and greatest from David Gordon Green, which is Halloween Kills. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got our boy, Randu. What's up, man?
How do? How's it going, buddy?
Doing pretty good. I am very excited to finally talk about this movie that was sitting on the shelves for like a full fucking year.
Dude, I'm ready to talk about it after just like 2 days of the internet buzzing like fucking flies like crazy about this movie.
Yeah.
I want to know what you guys think about this. I'm excited to hear about it, especially after our Chilloween party, which I guess we'll talk about in a minute.
Same. We'll talk about all of that in just a moment. Last but not least, calling in from Southern Korea, we got our boy, Soju. What's up, man?
What up? It's your boy. He stabbed his sister in the Yabo stains.
I thought you were going to go with Big John or Little John or one of the other.
Big John Stains.
Big John Stains.
Oh, Big John. Big John Stains. Little John Stains. We need a call and response. I'd have to set that one up with you boys.
Wow.
Well,
that's a hell of a stain, regardless.
Next time. When Halloween Ends come out, we'll finally be ready for that bit.
when the Johns were on the screen, I will say I was thinking a lot about you, Juice. Thinking a lot about
you. I'm sure you were, Bob. You're always thinking about me.
Especially when I see
Is he Big John or Little John?
He's old Whiskey John. That's what he is.
Whiskey John.
Damn.
Man. Wow. I don't know how to play off of that. I got nothing. Let's go.
We're rolling. We're going to roll. Let's tackle some housekeeping real quick. Here's another reminder. We have our November poll pick currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this November. The theme for November is Bride or Die. 3 movies to vote between are Bride of Reanimator, Bride of Chucky, and Bride of Frankenstein.
Hey, Bob, how are those numbers looking?
Man, people want us to talk about Bride of Chucky pretty hard. Like, it's clear.
There's really only one conclusion, and that's that people love to hear us bitch. Like, there's no other solution.
I think so.
Like, I have no other conclusion I can draw.
Yeah.
Oof.
Like, Frankenstein and Reanimator are, like, not even close, to be honest.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm okay with it. Give the people what they want and all that shit. I do. I would really love to cover Bride of Frankenstein one day, though.
At some point,
next time, people, do us a solid.
Yeah, get your votes in before the end of October. We'll see what we're talking about this November. In other Patreon news, we've been dropping a brand new minicast every Friday the month of October. If you support us at the $10 level or above, you get access to a whole backlog of Patreon exclusive minicasts. We got over 50 on there now. This past Friday, we dropped a minicast where I talk about VHS 94, which is a Shudder exclusive currently, the 4th film in the VHS franchise. Check it out. Check it out if you want to hear my thoughts.
Check out. I want to see that once I get back to the States.
Too, man.
I'll check it out on Shudder.
It's worth a watch. There's been like a lot of reviews I've seen don't necessarily align with my thoughts on it. But I think it's definitely a step up from Viral. So if Viral like really soured you, and I think it did a lot of people.
Which was 3, right?
VHS 3.
Okay.
VHS Viral.
I forgot I had a subtitle.
Yeah. So like it is, in my opinion, anyways, a step up from that. So I think it's worth checking out for sure.
It's a pretty low bar.
I never saw that one, so I'm
pretty
okay.
Easy limbo bar to clear. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah. I've heard 4 is a step up. I've heard it competes with 1 and 2 a little bit. So that's the overwhelming majority of people have said towards me. So I'm excited to check it out.
And it's on Shudder.
Go on.
Easy to find. Last bit of Patreon news. we gotta wrap up our Chilloween party last Friday. Big thanks to everybody that was hanging out with us. We played some Halloween, I guess really just horror trivia in general, not Halloween trivia. We had a costume contest, and we screened Halloween 2018. It was a lot of fun. Some amazing costumes, man. Like,
really there were some dope costumes. Yeah.
Soju came as a man with no tongue for like an hour.
Dude, I came to just chill, you know?
Cafe stains sitting in the corner giggling. We played some trivia, and man, some of the toughest questions I could come up with, people still had answers. Not everybody, but some people still did.
A couple of those questions I was like, I don't know, even though they were about movies I knew that we covered, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in fairness though, like, only the top spot was 20 out of 30 correct, which is true. Like, that is still a pretty, like, I don't know. Going to team trivia, that's a pretty low score overall.
Yeah, I was unsure because we never really done trivia before, so I was like, well, I'll do like some easy, some medium, and some hard because like I don't really know how to gauge everybody's like knowledge.
You don't want 10 winners.
Yeah, I don't want it too easy or too hard. So.
Good, kudos. It worked out perfect.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you want it. You want people to be surprised by some of the trivia too. So there you go.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Again, thanks to everybody who supports us on Patreon. Hopefully we'll be able to do some more events similar to that in the future. And thanks to everybody that was hanging out this past Friday. Last bit of news that I have, and I'll turn it over to you guys real quick. Let's Get Physical Media. We got a brand new episode where Mikey and I... We recommend 10 Halloween movies that you need to slam your eyeballs into. We try to go off the beaten path, so we're not just talking about like Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween 3.
It's just all Halloween movies, the franchise.
Right. So yeah, if you're looking for some new stuff that maybe you haven't seen before, check out Let's Get Physical Media and see what we got to say.
Is Ghostwatch on there? Tell me Ghostwatch is mentioned.
No, we did not mention.
What the fuck? You slut.
I will not be listening. You failed the litmus test.
Well, fuck me running. Gentlemen, do you have any other housekeeping you got to touch on?
No, I don't think so.
No. Yeah, not in any real sense.
Yeah, I guess since this movie came out, I guess it's worth mentioning one more time in case you missed it before, that we do have a video that came out 2 weeks ago now of us ranking the entire Halloween franchise. I wouldn't normally mention it 2 weeks in a row, but since this is a new Halloween movie, it might be worth your time to check out Straight Chilling or youtube.com/Straight Chilling Podcast to check out our Halloween franchise ranking video. But other than that, no new housekeeping.
Right.
Purely and simply
Evil.
All right. With that, our houses are collectively clean.
This house is clean.
Every time.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking about Halloween Kills, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Well, at least you didn't cut him off that time.
True. It could be worse, I guess.
Now, you got to counterbalance the universe sometimes, and today wasn't one of those times, fortunately.
I appreciate your efforts, Randy.
Have you already pre-ordered this box?
No. So speaking of the box, obviously it doesn't exist yet. This movie just came out 2 days ago. However, you can pre-order it on 4K online already. And it's already been announced that it's going to have a different ending as a bonus feature. Already,
I don't even know where to begin with that shit.
And
yeah, wasn't it announced on like opening night?
Yeah.
Is it going to be one of those things where it's like a troll, or it's like Danny McBride under the mask or some shit?
I kind of hope. So.
I kind of hope so, because then at least you can be like, okay, it was a joke. At least it was a joke.
I don't know. I kind of want there to be some kind of weird just Snyder cut of this or something.
Ooh, what if they brought back the Cult of Thorn in the alternate edition?
Dude, maybe
might improve it. But also,
God damn.
Also,
here we go.
I will say,
I guess we know where Bob fell.
Last thing about the box, the art is terrible. The poster for this movie is great. Just put it on the box.
Yeah, it is.
They came up with some other bullshit art. It looks terrible. Anyway, I'm done.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Because it's like worse. $69.
Totally.
It's worse, but it's not as bad as they're saying, the artwork, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Well,
people really hate it, and it's understandable because the poster work was great this year.
Yeah.
But it's a little samey to any horror film, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like Baby's first metal album cover. It's not good. But let's go ahead and get into this. Halloween Kills, this brand new movie released 2021, runtime of 1 hour and 45 minutes. This was directed by David Gordon Green. This was written by John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, also David Gordon Green, like Scott Teems. There's a lot of people that had their hands on the script for this bad boy. Stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Andy Matichak, a bunch of other folks. Brief little plot synopsis is as follows here. Picking up right where Halloween 2018 leaves off, Michael Myers survives Laurie Strode's burning basement and continues to slash his way through Haddonfield on Halloween night. Who lives? Who dies? Doesn't matter. Tune in and find out. Gentlemen, obviously this is a brand new movie, so we had not seen it before. Would you recommend people check it out? Randy, kick us off.
If you are a Halloween aficionado, if you're a fanboy, this movie does a lot of fan service. It's going to give you something. I don't see how you could avoid it if you are anyway. So I think, honestly, I don't think anybody I'm talking to is going to give a shit whether I recommend it. You either already want to see it or you don't. So see it, I guess.
True. This is us going through the motions. Juice, what about you?
Yeah.
This is going to be like a new thing for our segment this is another movie that came out theaters and streaming. So I think I would recommend this one for streaming. I don't think it's a must watch in the theaters. However, it's a new Halloween movie at Halloween time. So if you just love
in August?
Yeah. So if you just love those movie theater vibes, especially in spooky season, if that's how you like to celebrate your Halloween, then I don't think this one will disappoint, but if you're kind of like a little like still sketchy about being in crowds or, spaces like that, then I don't think this is a must watch in the theater, but definitely check it out streaming at least. I think this movie should be checked out this season. Bob, how do you feel about this one?
I'm very similar to you, Juice. So like this movie's not going to please everybody, but I will say, how often are we going to have the opportunity to go watch a brand new Halloween movie in the movie theater in the month of October? Like it's not going to happen a whole lot. Obviously, next October it's supposed to happen, but then how long are we going to have to wait since then? I recommend it. I think it's worth checking out. It is not like a flawless victory, but I think you're going to get something out of it if you choose to go watch it in the movie theater. And obviously, if you're not feeling COVID, watch it at home, which you can do on Peacock? Is that? I think it's on Peacock or Paramount. Paramount Plus. That's what it is.
If you're not feeling
it's
COVID,
Peacock.
Is it Peacock?
If you're not really feeling it. It's not really gelling with you.
If you're not,
it's one of those D-string streaming services.
Yeah, there's so many. I can't keep them straight anymore. Goddamn.
I can't either.
But I do recommend it. Yeah, ultimately. So that seems like a pretty solid recommend, I would say, from the Straight Trailing Crew.
Yeah.
So slam your eyeballs into it. We are going to spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
All right. I got a plot synopsis, gentlemen.
Bob, hit me with that plot synopsis. Get ready for the Bond Me follow-up. Here we go. 3 years in the making, and it was delayed a year. People have been waiting for this. Let's get into it.
Yeah, the return of the Bond
This
Me
is more
trilogy.
anticipated than the film itself.
Probably.
Halloween Kills, second helping. Here we go. The movie opens up on a Halloween night, 1978, where the original Halloween movie leaves off, We see officers Frank Hawkins and Pete McCabe patrolling the streets of Haddonfield, warning residents of the murders that have just taken place. They search the old Myers house, and Pete is strangled by Michael. Frank attempts to shoot Michael Myers, but accidentally shoots Pete, killing him. Loomis runs in asking what happened. Did Michael kill again? And then we have the intro credits roll. Flash forward to Halloween night 2018. We see Cameron come across present-day Frank Hawkins bleeding out of his neck. Frank says he's going to kill Michael. Cameron calls the police as well as his father. They get an ambulance en route to pick up Frank. We flash over to Tommy Doyle, Lonnie Elam, Lindsay Wallace, and Marion Chambers in a bar reflecting upon the horrors of Halloween night 1978, as they do every year. Two of the patrons go to leave the bar. They find a strange person in the back of their car and assume it's Michael Myers. Tommy walks outside with a bat to get his revenge, but the stranger drives off in the car and manages to get away. Tommy begins recruiting people to hunt Michael Myers down after seeing a news story of murders throughout the town. We then flash to Laurie, Karen, and Allison fleeing Laurie's burning house with Michael trapped in the basement. A fire truck passes them to extinguish the fire. They search the house for survivors. They end up saving Michael Myers, and he then dispatches all the firemen. Michael then moves throughout Haddonfield and kills several more inhabitants. Karen and Allison submit Laurie to the emergency room at Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. Tommy and Lonnie go to the hospital and meet Cameron. They recruit Allison in their manhunt, while Laurie and Officer Hawkins talk about the good old days. Meanwhile, at a park, Marion, Vanessa, Marcus, and 3 kids are slaughtered. Lindsay Wallace manages to hide. Tommy, Lonnie, Allison, and Cameron find her. They take Lindsay back to the hospital for treatment. While they are there, another inmate from the bus crash seeking medical treatment enters Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. Tommy incites a mob of dozens of people to chase him down, convinced he is Michael Myers, resulting in the inmate jumping out of a window to his death. Laurie gets out of bed, determined she has to kill Michael, but she sustains an injury. Kara then decides to join the manhunt for Michael. Tommy deduces Michael is heading back home. Lonnie arrives at the house first. He enters, telling Cameron and Allison to stay in the car. They follow him in regardless and find his dead body. Cameron is then killed while an injured Allison watches. Just before Allison is killed, Karen stabs Michael in the back with a pitchfork and draws him out of the house with his mask. She lures him into a trap where dozens of townfolk shoot, bash, stab, and beat the ever-loving shit out of Michael Myers until he stops moving. Michael then wakes up and dispatches Sheriff Brackett, the rest of the mob, and eventually kills Tommy Doyle as well. Michael then returns to his childhood home, finds Karen staring out of his favorite window. Michael stabs Karen to death and then stares out of his precious little window, while Laurie stares out of hers at Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. Roll credits. Gentlemen, let's talk about Halloween Kills.
His favorite little window.
Dude, this is my favorite window.
I'm not a fan of this idea. I'm not. That Michael just needs to go home to stare out of his fucking window. I don't understand it.
That is not the key problem for me.
I agree. It's just where we left off.
I found it interesting. Okay. So in the past 2 years, this year and last year, in our Halloween extravaganzas, we covered a lot of the Halloween films. And one of the ideas that popped up, I think this year when we were talking about 2, is that the focus of a Halloween sequel did not need to be about Laurie. You know, in the first movie, he's not breaking out of prison or whatever to chase Laurie. He doesn't even know who Laurie is. It's about going home. So there were some ideas that we've discussed in this podcast. They came up in this film, and I found that pretty interesting because I was one of the ones who was kind of calling for that. And so I don't hate the idea of rooting something more in, again, like I think I said about Halloween 2, rooting this idea of Michael Myers in the ritual that he has, because in the first movie we see him, you know, setting up his sister's tombstone. He obviously killed his sister on Halloween night, and so I think there's something to be said about trying to pull that out in this new sequel, and I kind of was intrigued by that and respected that idea. But a lot of the problems I'm gonna say this again and again and again about this movie is the ideas are interesting and intriguing, and I think have a lot of potential. A lot of the execution is poor.
I agree with your point there in that it shouldn't really wholly be focused on Laurie Strode, and the movie tries to open it up from that. But we still have several scenes where Laurie is absolutely convinced that she is the one that has to kill Michael, and they have to kill one another. Like one can't die. Like they both have to die. Like they're linked somehow. We don't necessarily know how because they are not blood related in this Halloween world that we're talking about. So like
is that canon?
Yeah, it is for this movie. Yeah, because anything after the original does not actually exist. So it's the original 1978, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills.
In 2018, they specifically mentioned it.
Yeah, they're not related.
So Michael can't die unless
Laurie also dies. Yeah, so they're like,
I don't know. That's not canon.
Well, no, I'm saying that's what Laurie says in this movie.
Oh yeah, Laurie says that, but so does Sheriff Hawkins. He says I have to be the one to kill him, and so does he. And it's like
true.
It's a whole thing that I feel like this is kind of the issue with this movie, man, is that it starts taking terms of art and trying to apply literal meaning to them. Like the concept of pure evil is made fucking explicitly supernatural in this goddamn movie, which is the same mistake they've made fucking 3 times already or 2 times already. And I'm like, how is this any better than fucking, a Cult of Thorn? How is this any better than I have to kill because my nephew's 17? How is this any better? Like, this is still adding explanation where the question is the point.
Yeah, I feel so 2018, one of the things I feel that movie did very well, and something that I feel like they tried to do like very purposefully, is to make Michael more grounded. Like he isn't a human. He's very strong. He's very fucked up and evil, but he is a person. And then in this movie, like absolutely not. He is not a human.
See, I don't know about that. I think, and here's the thing about what this film is going to be, is because this is like a total bridge film where you're not really going to know if anything that's set up in this movie is going to pay off well until the next movie comes, which sucks.
It does.
But I will say some things about this movie to me make the first movie more interesting and honestly kind of do their job in making me be like, okay, I'm interested in how this is going to wrap up, because the very, very first scene of Halloween 2018 where they're bringing it all back is all about that goddamn mask where the dude's shaking it and like, do you feel it, Michael? And this dude hasn't done shit for 40 years. He's sitting in his fucking cell, and then there's this mask, and now we have these ideas floating around, and we don't know what they're rooted in. Like Michael puts his mask on and then gets his ass beat and shot, and then gets up and fucking slays everybody, but then he also warps like fucking Friday the 13th video game to his house. And I'm like, okay, where's the supernatural element coming from? Is it from the mask? Is it from the house? Is he somehow supernatural? And we don't know.
I think that they would have to do a hell of a lot of fucking legwork, a lot of exposition to undo the unbelievability of being the first one was enough, but it was left as a cliffhanger. This one, they shoot this dude, and within fucking 2 minutes, he is doing full on Jedi lightsaber tricks, killing motherfuckers with a glance like a ballet dancer. That is not human. I don't care how resilient you are. Like the last movie, the whole point, the whole reason that we were excited about it, the whole reason that it worked for me anyway, is that they just got rid of the bullshit. They said, okay, you know what? He's still a guy. The only reason, and they talk about this again in this episode, this season, or this fucking Jesus Christ, this movie, and They talk about how Laurie, they make the mistake. Oh, he's coming after Laurie, but no, he's not. And they explicitly say, no, he wasn't coming after you. That was the machinations of a human being, of a regular human being that was involved.
The doctor.
That was not Michael Myers' part of his thing. That just so happened to be a great emotional payoff for us as an audience and for her as a victim, a former victim. That worked out great because it did both things that we wanted successfully and with good logic grounding it. This movie just kind of takes that all away. Honestly, it says all that stuff, but like now he whether or not there's like a further explanation as to whether or not like how the supernatural shit works, I don't buy that he's not supernatural at this point. I just can't. And to me, that's just another way of saying he's Frankenstein, part of a cult, or he was an abused white trash kid who snapped one day. Like, these are just explanations that take away from the horror of it all. And at the same time, they do the thing where he's not just a brutal killer now. He's also a fucking like masterpiece with a butcher's knife. Like he's seriously like a ballet dancer in 2 scenes. The opening scene, or not the opening scene, but his opening scene in the modern day with the firefighters. That shit is ridiculous immediately, right out of the gate. It reminded me of fucking Malignant. And I'm like, this is not the Michael Myers that scares me. This is the Michael Myers that gets his ass beat by a fucking rapper in Resurrection. Like, I don't see this as this is a monster, not a human being. And I know that the whole idea is that he's monstrous, but like he's all like the thing that's scary about it is he is a fucking person who is doing this shit. He's just lost all tether to reality, and he has become evil, at least in the minds of everyone around him. And to that end, I like the Haddonfield stuff in this, which we can get to in a minute. I know I just took up a lot of time.
Yeah.
But
well, no, I would to talk about the firefighter scene. I was disappointed that they just abandoned the whole idea of Michael Myers like stalking, like him coming out of the shadows. Like he's just standing there, and he's in like, no matter what you do, he's going to axe you in the face. Mm-hmm. He's not lurking. He's not in the shadows. He's literally standing there, like
6 strapping
everywhere.
Firefighters with axes and shit, and fucking jaws of life were unable to stop him.
I don't mind that scene. I wish they would have taken more time with it and made it feel more like he was struggling, because he does just like immediately kill them. And like the whole scene like might be a minute, and he kills like 5 or 6 dudes. I don't know. Like I wish they would have like taken more time with it, but he does after that sequence do some stalking. Like he kills the elderly couple, and he kind of plays with them a little bit. And then like he's stalking the kids around that are wearing the Halloween 3 masks, and he kills them. And he's definitely plays around with Big and Little John quite a bit, who are living in the old Myers house. So there is a bit of that, but it's definitely bookended with these like huge like battle sequences that are poorly choreographed, and like the timing it doesn't work out. Specifically in the last one, I do not like the ending of this movie. I think apparently they went back and did some reshoots, and I don't know exactly what they reshot or if they retooled the ending, and that's why we've got this like additional ending that's coming in on the Blu-ray, what have you. Or I don't know how different it's going to be, but like they put Michael Myers in this situation where he literally cannot get out of, as we see in the flashback to 1978, which we can talk about that too. But he is surrounded by people, and he is supernatural, but he cannot overpower them all. If they had handcuffs, they could put them on Michael and I guess take him to jail again if they wanted to, or put him in the sanitarium again. They choose not to do that. They want to beat the shit out of him, but you can't kill him apparently. So he eventually gets up and dispatches of all of these people. But the way he kills them all is not shot like the way they beat his ass down. It's like very close-up shots, one by one, like framed, like face to face,
slow-mo,
as if to assume that the entire mob is no longer surrounding him and cannot assist in any way. And that's how he kills them all. And it totally removes all tension and all reality and all believability and all weight from that scene whatsoever. And he's killing key fucking characters.
Honestly.
And you're just like left hanging like this carries no weight whatsoever.
I don't know
what weight you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna say I hated that scene. That scene, and actually, I wanna compare them to the 2 scenes, because I had completely different feelings about the firefighter scene and about this scene, and like they're conflicting a little bit. But in the last scene, dude, let me set it up though for you. I was watching this movie, and when she takes his mask away and she's chasing him down, and she's like, "I got your ass," and she drops his mask, and and then that music cuts in, and it's like, wow, and he puts it on. I was like, fuck yes. Yeah. Because I was, because I was like, what I fucking want is a movie about goddamn Michael Myers. And here we fucking go. If you're going to talk about a mob surrounding him, then let Michael Myers slay some ass. And then with that sick ass music cue, they fucking just beat his ass and then cut to slow-mo and fucking Karen was standing right there and stabbed his ass. And then all of a sudden she's not there anymore. And he's slow-mo killing these bitches. I'm like, Tommy, you're killing Tommy Doyle. You're killing the fucking sheriff slow-mo. That was so poorly directed. Who fucking criticized the shit out of like these movies, was excited, dude, when that music cue kicked in and he was putting his fucking mask on. I was like pumping my fist, dude. I was so excited. And then they gave me that shit and I was like, you motherfuckers.
Dude, I had a similar reaction, but for entirely different reasons. That is so fascinating to me. So like that scene happens, and I too, he picks up the mask, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome, because they have now cornered Michael. And to me, I'm like, let's see some curb stomping. Let's see these motherfuckers. This whole movie has been the same way that Halloween 2018 was about Laurie and her family's trauma. This is about the trauma of Haddonfield. It's very explicitly stated, laid on too thick, in my opinion. But I was interested in that concept a lot, and I was really interested in seeing how they could they weren't neglecting all the former victims. They were talking about them. They were showing images of them. They were showing the fallout from their parents. Like one of the kids' parents sees is that like all that shit sort of adds up to me. You're seeing Tommy Doyle. You're seeing the legacy of Michael Myers killing people in this town, not just in the Strode family. And I think that's fucking fascinating. So a chance for them to beat the shit out of him. And I had blinders on. I'll admit this, because I know there's another Halloween movie coming out, and there's a very, 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 very fucking small chance that they're actually going to kill Michael Myers in this film. But I allowed myself to believe it. I thought, okay, maybe they're taking a huge fucking swing here. They're going to kill Michael Myers, and they're going to do like a Jamie Lloyd sort of situation where somebody's going to pick up the mantle or something. But then they did the most self-undercutting thing of all by making him fucking real life demon. And I just don't like, that's not what I don't watch fucking Halloween movies for demons. I don't watch them for that. I watch them for a fucking madman with no sin, like no nonsensically killing people and leaving mocking tableaus for them. That's what makes it great to me. And so like by ascribing any sort of reason to it, they undercut the whole thing. And not only that, but this also undercuts the entire opening scene with Sheriff Hawkins. He neglected to kill the guy. Loomis was mad at him for not killing the guy, and he didn't do it because he was like, no, there's, he's still a human being, and things like that. And then he comes to regret it. And then then it's just shown that he couldn't have done anything about it. Mm-hmm. So like, even if he had shot Michael in the head that night, he would have just gotten right the fuck back up and stabbed everybody surrounding him. I just don't understand why this movie wants to cut its own dick off. Like, why does it want to do this?
I want to say one more thing about the ending. So yeah, like Karen is there, she stabs in the back, and then we're left to assume she then walks back over to the Myers house to tend to her injured daughter. And for some reason, she then decides to walk up into the upstairs bedroom where Michael first kills his sister in 63.
The reason she goes out there, she sees Michael as a child.
Oh yeah, she has that vision of him. God,
as a clown.
That's dumb.
I love that. Before she walked up there, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
True,
and then at that moment, he starts killing people again, and I'm like, "Fuck, this is gonna be Jesus Christ." But I liked it as just like a vision,
She walks up there, and he apparently strolls on into the house, even though it's surrounded by ambulances and like first responders and police officers.
Warped.
He ends up in there somehow, and he stabs Karen while she's looking out the window. This is like one of the most important characters of the movie. I feel like her ending here, and the overall ending of the movie, was just nothing. Like a complete waste
it's a big fart.
Of that character.
Well, it was a complete waste of everybody.
I agree.
Dude, they brought back the nurse.
Marion
for nothing.
Marion Chambers came back again.
Yeah.
Anthony Michael Hall came back for nothing, really.
Yeah.
Like at least nothing. At least knowing that there's another sequel for nothing. Like within the context of this movie, I actually think he's okay. There's some split opinions about this. It seems like on the web, but I liked his performance okay, and I kind of liked the idea. Like, again, I want to go back to the Haddonfield stuff, like the whole thing where they misinterpret the other escaped patient as being Michael Myers, and they corner him, and the guy kills himself, and with extremely brutal suicide scene. That was nuts. And to me, it was overplayed, and then Sheriff fucking Brackett goes, "We turned us into the monsters." I'm like, Jesus. Did you have to fucking say it out loud? Did you have to?
Oh, hang on. Because I feel justified. Thank you for saying that. But I feel vindicated in my criticisms of the first film where they were saying shit like, "Oh, you're the new Loomis." And nobody seemed to give a shit that they were saying
that
stupid shit
funny.
Like that. But now they're saying like
humorous.
We're the real
this
monsters.
Is not.
But
they're literally taking the point of they're literally like in that he's saying, "Oh, you're the new Loomis," is kind of like a pithy meta commentary thing. It means nothing in context. They could have had it, could have not, and it wouldn't have changed anything. Having that line in this movie changes everything for me because it suddenly feels like I'm being preached to instead of being shown the consequences. Yeah.
Do you
it's like,
understand?
Hey, here's the thesis statement. Here you go.
This movie. Well, I have so many points. Speaking of Sheriff Brackett, before we get off Sheriff Brackett, he arrives at the end scene of the movie where the whole mob is there about to kick the shit out of Michael Myers, which is exciting when he puts the mask on. But then Sheriff Brackett says, "Happy Halloween, Michael. Yes. Everyone's entitled to one good scare," and that is the biggest palm to the fucking face moment of this movie. I hated that so much. It is unneeded. We all know the first movie. It's good. Leave it alone. Just make another movie.
I was more comfortable with them retreading into a flashback of 78 than with dropping lines like that, because it's overly earnest fanboyism. You know what I mean? It's which the first one was okay because it was dealing directly with the character, the central character. It felt like we were wrapping things up with her, whereas in this, I don't feel like we're wrapping things up as much as introducing. Well, what about the town? What does the town think of everything? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, man. We don't need to have every character doesn't have to have a pithy one-liner for Michael. We don't all need to fucking say that shit. I don't know.
The intro to this movie, which is a flashback to 1978, I was genuinely confused as to when that scene was supposed to take place chronologically.
A little bit for me too.
And I'll explain why, though. So, what I think happens is the entire first movie happens, the 1978 Halloween, and then what this movie opens up with is what happens immediately after that movie concludes. However,
when he gets off the lawn, right?
Right. However, after, as we all know, we've all seen Halloween 1978, he was shot 6 times, stabbed in the eye, stabbed in the neck, stabbed in the chest. He should be covered in blood with bullet wounds, stab wounds, and he is certified fresh to death.
Pristine.
Looking clean as fuck throughout that whole flashback.
I didn't even realize that, but yeah.
And
I didn't think about that either,
It threw me off. I was like, did he somehow, they have him surrounded, did he escape and then go kill all those kids? What? It doesn't, I don't know, but I think they just fucked that continuity up, honestly.
I think they
I think they did, but I think they did it for the reason that I got something out of that, which is it was cool to see it. You know what I mean? It was cool to see pristine Michael again after so many episodes or so many seasons.
It looked
movies.
fresh,
yeah. It was fucking cool to see the fresh painted mask and the fresh suit. It just I don't know. It was a nice.
It looked like the
nice
70s, dude. They did a good job. The look, and when they zoomed out of it, the freeze, I was like, hey,
dude, and they got a dead ringer for Loomis. I was pretty impressed with their Loomis choice.
Yeah,
and they didn't linger on it so long to where it could fall apart either.
Yeah.
They did maybe one close-up shot too many for my taste, but it was acceptable to me. It looked great.
Now the drama around it, him shooting his partner in the neck, I was like, I don't care about this, or it doesn't. Not that I don't care. I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
So,
I was okay with that. But go ahead.
I thought it was lame because he could have just been unable to save his partner and had Michael kill him, and then he always regretted being unable to save his partner. But what they try to do through the third flashback. So there's 3 flashbacks. The first one is pretty neat. The second is bad. The third is the worst. It just gets worse as it goes, and it frustrates the hell out of me because they try and work in this whole crooked cops, am I right? In this third flashback where like the I guess chief is like, well, give me your gun, son. I know you had good intentions, but you ultimately, shot your partner, and we'll cover it up for you and just say that he shot himself and it was an accident. And it's like, this is completely unnecessary to the plot of this movie. Like, why
I disagree.
are we having this flashback? Okay. Well,
I mean, okay. I will say I disagree, but it's a light disagree because you're right. They could have done that with Michael having taken his partner's life and then him failing, or even just him like failing to shoot the guy because he's intimidated. Like they could have done that route. You're right. But I also kind of liked it because it served the purpose of giving him a historical trauma associated with all this that allows him to comment on it later on. And I as much as I don't like some of the stuff that they built out of it, and I feel like it kind of flowered kind of poorly, you know what I mean, as the movie went on, I did kind of like that it's showing. The thing about this is they're trying to turn Haddonfield into Springfield from The Simpsons, where they have not just Laurie Strode as a character, a central pivotal character, and Michael Myers, not just a duology anymore. It's the whole like breadth. And I really like that idea. I really like that they showed the fallout from other murders. They thank God they filmed Halloween 2 in 79 or 80 or 81 because they had that shot of Annie and Brackett like mourning over her because of that. And it's like, that shit like works for me. It makes sense having Lindsay and
was from
all these
Halloween
characters come
2,
back.
That flashback, by the way.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I thought that was fucking weird.
Yeah. But
thank God it existed.
I understand what you're saying, but speaking specifically about like Officer Hawkins and his specific trauma and his specific regrets, he never ever reflects upon like covering up accidentally killing his partner and like thinks, oh, I shouldn't have done that. He regrets stopping Loomis from killing Michael, and that's it. That's all he fucking regrets.
Dude, I think that's this. I think the worldview of this movie is not one where that was a bad thing. I think it was like,
I agree.
You made a mistake. And I don't think that I really would hold it too much against him either, because he was a rookie in a bad situation. And, that like horrible mistakes happen. And he did, I don't know, like to me, it is a cover up by definition, but to me, it's not an unjust cover up that needs to be reckoned with.
It is completely unnecessary to the plot of this movie. 100%.
I can't really argue too hard against that. I would agree that that's fair to say.
One of my problems with this movie too is it's a bit of a hodgepodge. They're trying to do a lot here, and they try to spend time to focus on each one of those things kind of like that. But because they're trying to do so many things, nothing really feels like it kind of gets the weight that each idea deserves. And so because of that, a lot of the cool ideas fall flat. Where I agree with Randy in that, if you set up this trilogy where the first one is kind of the fallout of Jamie and her family, and you're under the impression like, okay, Jamie's like leading this story, but then it goes into the next film and then you get an expanded view where you see Tommy Doyle. I love seeing like Tommy Doyle come back. I love seeing Lindsay come back and face Michael Myers and all that stuff. And that is the follow through. That's great to me. Those are great ideas. But then you also add in, he's supernatural. We're also adding in something about the house, which also I'm going to say too, the idea of rooting some idea in the house. I like that too. But when you're trying to say like, okay, we need to focus a little bit on the house. We also need to focus a little bit on the town. Yes. We need to show all of these old people. Also, he's somehow supernatural. Also, we still need to give Laurie and her family some service and stuff. It's like, and then also you're doing like this thing with Hawkins and stuff. It's like, that's too much. You need to pick, you need to pick a lane, and you need to follow through with it, and they do not with any of the lanes that they choose, which is so unfortunate to me because
the lanes undercut themselves. I'm sorry. I see the potential in a lot of this, and in some ways it makes me kind of like forgive a lot or some of the flaws I had in the first one, because I'm like, okay, if you're not focusing on Laurie Strode, that's great to me. And I like that kind of that twist in the second movie where it's like, no, this is about other people that were affected too. Cool. Like that. But oh man, but then by the end of this movie, he kills them all. And like
unimpactful ways. And I'm what?
This movie undercuts itself by trying to do too much. It like the first movie or like 2018 and really the original movie are great because they're simple and focused. This movie abandons both of those things. Like it makes it more complex and like sometimes in interesting directions, but those directions counteract each other. Like I said, like with Hawkins, or his whole arc depends on him in this movie, depends on him, in deciding not to kill Michael Myers and regretting it. But if he had, just would have been Zombie Mike earlier, apparently. Really the resurrection part of this movie is the biggest problem because it undercuts the rest of the movie. This is all like, I guess like the comment, it really muddles the idea of the town being traumatized as well. And like how that comes out when that was already perfectly well displayed by them getting the wrong guy. You know what I mean? And like that was already like, they spent a lot of time laying that out. And if it had ended there and Tommy had just himself continued on, like maybe Tommy and Lindsay themselves continued on instead of a lynch mob, as much as I loved like the lynch mob at the very beginning of that scene, that would have made more sense. And they wouldn't have had this issue where we are shown proof positive, in my opinion, that this man can't die. And there's also like a quirk of the cinematography, which is clever if you like the twist, but not clever to me and annoying to me because I don't, which is that throughout this movie, you see a lot of Michael Myers' actual head, a lot more than we're used to seeing. You see gristle you see some mustache, you see he's blurry and he's just off camera a lot of times, or he's really tightly shot, but you see a lot of him. You can see he's a bald man, bald white guy. And that to me was kind of bothering me throughout. And then once he had his ass beat and was curb stomped by Anthony Michael Hall, he gets his ass fucking back up and then he becomes dark-eyed the Shape. And I understand cinematography wise that the point they're making is his humanity is now, I understood it to be his humanity is now completely gone. He is a zombie man. He can't be killed. And there is nothing left. Whereas before there might have been a little bit of a beating heart behind this fucking mask. There is none now. And I don't fucking like that because I don't like that turn of events. It undercuts the rest of the movie and franchise, in my opinion. The way that it has in the past when they try and do that shit.
I wanted to talk about the mob a little bit here because it seems to be like very much a driving factor of this movie, like the impact of mob mentality. I had a couple issues with it because like the movie almost opens up with Tommy Doyle in a bar, like reminding everybody what happened 40 years ago. Like nobody in the bar apparently remembers. There's like 3 or 4 people killed, 40 years ago, whatever. Nobody seems to care. Yeah. Also, like... in the face of that, he's able to like gather 100 people that want to kill this person that apparently they don't remember.
Yes.
Also,
that scene was dumb.
Also, Michael Myers was in the sanitarium for 40 years, and you're telling me they don't have a picture of his face they can put on the news?
Yes, they put it on the TV that night.
Like, people would know.
Like, how does Tommy Doyle not know?
Right,
like there would be true crime podcasts about this fucker.
No, if anybody knows, it's that motherfucker who literally is salivating.
Dude, I didn't
to bash
even
his
think,
brains in.
I didn't even think about that, but that is a wonderful point. I did, like, you're right. They did show it on the television, and with him saying that started
the confusion for the other.
Yeah, with him saying like, "Oh, he always wears a mask. How do we know?"
He doesn't
my
wear a mask.
God,
Not for the past 40 years. Like he wore a mask one night.
He hasn't had a mask
one night.
You're telling me that these podcasters that were covering him, that was the first time that true crime story was ever covered? Like, Jesus Christ, we live in a fucking swamp.
That's really funny
right now. There would definitely be a Hulu series or at least a fucking Forensic Files.
Well, they were making it, but they got killed.
Well, I know that there would have already been. Like, you're telling me that there would be there wouldn't be an unsolved mysteries about this fucking case or some shit. Like, I don't buy it. I don't buy that this isn't. Like if enough people know of Michael Myers enough to want to form a lynch mob, and when he returns for the fucking second time in his whole life, like but they have to be reminded. It's not comporting.
Like
this movie wants you to think that it's both new. It's like new information to these people because they've forgotten, and it's also old trauma that's being ripped open. It kind of can't be both.
I will say that I felt like they did their due diligence a little bit. It's weak, but by showing like the news, you have a couple characters who kind of start to get swept up in this. Like the couple who's at the bar, the nurse and the doctor, where they're like, oh, that's my neighbor. That's right across the street.
Yeah, I like they brought them back. That was cool.
And then the mom who's like, oh, my son, for Oscar who died in the first one. So it's like they're like trying to be like, oh, people are getting swept up in this. So I feel like they could have done a better job when Tommy Doyle is telling his story and like where more people kind of commiserate with that. So you're right. It seemed like everybody was kind of confused.
Maybe if it like was a sudden hush the minute he says the word boogeyman or something. But instead they all look pretty bored at the beginning of his story.
I'm sorry, Bob. It could have been like 15 or 20 people that he gathers that have actually been like traumatized by Michael Myers. And that would have been more than enough. But in that hospital, it's like everybody in the waiting room. It's like fucking nurses, fucking doctors are out trying to murder this dude instead of saving people's lives. Like everybody. It's hundreds of people. It's fucking ridiculous. And it's a situation that Michael Myers cannot survive. They wrote themselves into a corner and they're like, well, I don't know. Maybe he gets up and somehow manages to kill the mob one by one. I don't know. We'll shoot it that way anyways. It's just like fucking lame.
Dude, I think they did that totally intentionally because they wanted to show, hey, guess what? All the stories are true. He is what they say he is.
Purely and simply evil.
We're going to suddenly, this is not a term of art anymore. This is canonical. He's a zombie man now. And that's what they wanted to do apparently with this movie.
There's something to that, even with you playing that clip. I mean, there are, if you're saying like, we're going to base these sequels off of the first movie. I mean, there are things that suggest that he is shot 6 times and people question, like, I shot him 6 times and he gets up and he walks away. He's stabbed in the fucking neck. He's stabbed in the fucking eye. Loomis constantly saying like, I watched this person and I know that he is evil. That's all he says about him. He is evil. So, I mean, there's seeds there that were planted from the original story. So I don't like completely bash them for taking that like route, but I don't know. It just, I'm frustrated because there's good potential ideas here. There's too much, and it's like it's almost like watching somebody make an amazing catch, but then they just like bungle it up, and then it turns into like a fumble or something. Yeah, kind of like you're like, wow. Okay, yeah, almost, I see where this is going. Yeah, almost. Because there's actually, I want to talk about this because I gave the first one such a hard time. Now, in the first, I'm talking about 2018. A lot of people liked that movie a lot. And I was very confused because I was like, this is very mediocre to me. I had honestly a lot of the same kinds of feelings where I was like, there's some good ideas here, but ultimately I don't like a lot of the execution, like the comedy that's infused in it and stuff like that. And now on this one, it seems like a lot of people like fucking hate this movie. And I'm kind of in the same kind of spot, honestly, where I'm like, I found moments of this pretty entertaining for a Halloween film, but again, I feel like it was handled in a very clumsy kind of way, but I still was pretty entertained by this movie. So I don't want to just keep bashing the lore and stuff because we really need to spend some time talking about the Myers house and the Johns because that was something that was in that house. Dude,
it's a great house.
I liked them.
Whoa, I am genuinely surprised.
I'm pretty shocked by that. Yeah,
I did. I liked the house and spending time there and seeing kids trick or treat there and them having a lore around it. And I liked their relationship. They felt like cozy.
Yeah,
which
like
is
real people.
Is funny. Yeah, which is funny to see in the Myers. Dude, I loved Big John's opening where he's like fucking smoking the doobie and the fucking he's
singing a song, dancing.
See, I thought that was a little ridiculous, but I understand. Like to me, like the Johns, I did end up liking them, but at first I was a little dubious. It was when they started telling those kids the horror story that I was like, okay, I know what this is. These are Halloween fans, and I don't mean like Michael Myers fans. I mean like fans of the season of Halloween. These are spooky season people. Yeah. And they have a good relationship and they scare kids. And after they get tricked by kids, you know, they scare them back. And it's like, it's wholesome shit. And this movie is in dire need of some levity like that. So thank God these characters are written.
I agree. The kids that sort of play a prank on them where they're like, oh, my friend bit into an apple and there was a razor blade or whatever. I thought that was kind of a cool callback to Halloween 2 and 3 because they got the masks on and the kid with the razor blade in his mouth in Halloween 2. Neat callbacks. Anyway, Juice, what were you getting into?
Oh, I was just going to say it felt authentic to me. And where this movie, I appreciate it. It mostly abandoned the ridiculous comedy of the first one, but where it shined is where they had it in these characters that felt authentic and had a good chemistry together. And what they were actually saying to each other felt like what a couple would say. Whereas in the first one, it's just like, here's two cops that you've never seen before and you don't know anything about. And now let's throw you into a situation that doesn't really make sense. But where this one is like, they were characters. They had a house. They had a situation, and that was the only bit of like real levity and comedy that you got. And for me, this time it actually worked because it was rooted like in something real or so, like some real chemistry.
See, I felt that way about like the babysitter and her and the kid that she's babysitting. They're giving each other shit. They're giving each other a hard time, and they're like fucking around with each other. That to me rung totally true. I mean,
me too. That was the one bit of comedy that I liked in the first one because Julian was like the best fucking actor in that goddamn movie. I said, like for that kid killed.
But yeah, I loved that, and like I even thought that the cops like. It was maybe a little over the top, but not really. Like, what else are cops going to fucking talk about when they're sitting in their beat cars all night long? To me, it just seemed like, like these people are just having a dumb conversation because they've got time on their hands. Anyway, but like in this movie, it felt like everything, all the slice of life stuff still worked for me in this one, I would say. That I never had a problem with it in 2018 though either. So I'm interested that you came around on it.
I will say, go ahead, Bob.
When Big John picks up the charcuterie knife and he's like, I've got this knife. It's the tiniest little knife. I fucking love that moment, but like he's dead ass. Like I got a knife. I'm going to try and protect myself. And I also want to posit that we refer to this as the charcuterie installment of the Banh Mi trilogy. And we'll see what food they focus on in Halloween Ends.
Well, no, I was going to say to touch on that. One thing I do feel vindicated in this movie because it's outside the realm of the comedy, where the comedy in the first one like really bothered me. But I also felt like that movie or like the writing was very awkward. Dude, this movie to me is like, to give an analogy, is like the person who's like hanging around, who like has similar interests to you, who generally seems like a good person and you want to have them around, but you get them in a crowd and they can just suck the air out of a room by being awkward as shit. This movie, like things just happen and I'm like, what? Like this movie is awkward as shit. And even as much as I liked the Johns and their chemistry, there was a Banh Mi moment where he's talking about bees shaking their ass. And I was like, God damn it, you motherfuckers.
Really?
This is awkward as shit. It's so awkward. It's like, it's like when that person's just sitting in the room and they just say something random and you're like, yeah, okay. I don't
know, man. I've had conversations about that with my significant, like that seems like just fucking shit you talk, especially when he's token. Exactly. Like that's a conversation I might have had with a certain former roommate of mine. Like that's some shit that happened. Like to me, that seemed very slice of life to make a joke about how like, oh, you know, bees, they they communicate by shaking their asses. Isn't that kind of funny? Haha. Like just doing dumb shit. Like,
and it wasn't just that moment. That one kind of stood out to me because again, it was kind of similar to the Bommy situation, but the dialogue in this movie and the previous one to me just is so awkward. There's moments between the couple, the doctor and the nurse, where they'll say things like people just say things in this movie. And I'm like, what the fuck? It just, a lot of this dialogue feels so unnatural to me, and not just natural in what's being said, but where it's placed and the overall direction of it. It just feels like an awkward movie to me a lot in the dialogue.
I agree.
I guess that doesn't bother. I just don't.
You do agree with that, Bob?
I do.
You said you.
It is a very, very awkward movie. There is like one.
It's awkward because of. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying there's like one very small through line, and this doesn't necessarily add to the story much, but like the nurse and doctor character who are in the first movie, they come back in this movie, they're hanging out in the bar or whatever. In the original movie, like the doctor runs back inside, he's like, "Oh, I forgot my stethoscope," and we think Michael's gonna kill his girlfriend or wife or whatever who's dressed up as like a nurse. He ends up not. They get in the car and drive away just in time. And when we see the characters again, he like runs back into the bar before they get in the car. He's like, "Oh, I forgot my stethoscope. Stethoscope." He goes in to get it, and there's somebody in the back of the car, and they freak out or whatever. And then when they finally meet their end, he uses that stethoscope to choke Michael, and Michael is like completely unfazed and just turns his head and looks at him like, "Motherfucker, you got nothing." And I love that they finally bring the stethoscope into like mean fucking something.
Oh, that was Chekhov's stethoscope in your mind?
Yeah, okay. I don't know. It's a small.
See, I guess like I don't have a big feeling about that in particular. I thought that it was kind of funny to see this dude who's been basically like feckless throughout the whole film. The whole, like, his wife is the take charge person in their relationship, it seems like. And, you know, he's following cues. He's trying to do his best, but he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And he's not confident in himself. So he takes a really dumb tactic out of a panic move. And Michael just gets to stare him down and just destroy him. And I thought that worked really well for that reason. Like, I also like the kills in this movie. There's a lot less. It seems like I'm split on it because a lot of it seems a little bit basic. Like the killing of Karen at the end was so basic, but then, and I don't really like the dancing lightsaber scenes of fucking Michael Myers. I just don't like that shit. That is not Michael Myers to me. But I did like, for example, the old couple, as much as I don't think that scene needed to be there, the old couple with the drone and everything. I really liked them showing Michael Myers just repeatedly stabbing into that guy to create his tableau. We've never seen him like actively creating his tableau before, and that worked for me.
I completely agree.
Like I really liked that, and especially because it was like from her point of view, and he was blurry in that scene. I just really liked it. I thought that worked great.
I liked it too, but again, I like agree with you and think like this movie was like 145. I think that was one scene again that felt awkward, where I was like, they could have done that same exact thing in a scene that made sense, but it's like why Michael was at this house and what these people have to do with anything. Like I like their kills,
I guess.
Yeah, I like their kills where he even breaks the light bulb and stabs her in the neck.
Dude.
But even their whole setup, that was another awkward moment for me where it was just like, here's people I don't know. Now, like flying a drone. Who flies a fucking drone in the house? And
people,
and
they do.
And then like I like some of those things, but also at the same time, I'm left going like, what, where am I? Why am I here? And like, I felt the movie could be trimmed up a bit, but then I'm like, well, I don't want them to take that specific moment out where he's like you said, cause I like it.
On that.
But then I'm also like, this scene doesn't really need to exist. So make that a memorable moment, like make that somebody important, the nurse or
you know how you could have solved this?
Miriam, what's her name? Miriam?
Yeah, Marion Chambers.
Yeah, make him do it with her or something. Like
I don't know. She had a pretty good send off, I think. You know who did?
Yeah, that's true.
Was the fucking doctor, that the woman, the doctor dressed as a nurse. Like that was literally straight out of fucking Buster Scruggs. That motherfucker just kicked a door into her firing gun and it shot her in the head. and I'm sitting here fucking livid about that still. That is cartoonish nonsense for this movie. This movie takes itself way too goddamn, like that would make sense if fucking if it was Resurrection, or makes sense. It would be acceptable and a different kind of Halloween movie. But this movie takes itself way too goddamn seriously for somebody to fucking pull some literal Looney Tunes bullshit like that.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. Gentlemen, we
gotta do it.
We need to land it. If you have any
goddamn
any extra, I know we could talk about this movie for much longer. If you have any extra points, just make sure to hit them when we're wrapping everything up.
Dude, I haven't even touched my notes. Holy Jesus.
Dude, me either.
Juice, here's your moment. Get them in. Out of 5, how do you feel about Halloween Kills?
Whew, all right, let me go down my list of notes. The opening was fucking dope. I love the burning pumpkins. That was cool shit. I like that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of neck wounds in this movie. So many people get their necks fucked up, like stabbed, bent, like just I feel like a majority of the wounds. At
least 5.
A lot. There's 6. A lot of I know the light bulb to the neck for sure, and then the old guy, he gets like stabbed with a piece of frame or wood or whatever. Yeah, glass in his neck. The kid at the end. There's a lot. There's a shit ton.
There's a fucking lot.
The drone scene. What the fuck is that? This movie is awkward as shit. The Class O, another awkward fucking moment when they think it's Michael Myers in the car and the classical music in the car, or classical music in the thing where the dude's changing the radio station. I was like, that completely killed the moment for me, where they're all waiting outside the car and Tommy Doyle's like, I got the bag, I'm gonna get him. And then it's just like, Figaro. I was like, God damn it. I don't know. I hated that shit. The setup shot of the house, super cool. So I watched this movie twice. When I didn't know the John's characters, and I think this is another kind of awkward moment, and when he says, have you ever heard of Michael fucking Myers? I was rolling my eyes. When I knew the characters and I watched it the second time, I was okay with it. Yeah. So I was like, maybe we needed to spend more time with these people before they start dropping lines like that. The line, he stabbed his sister in the tits, laugh out loud, yabos. I really liked the Lindsay showdown at the car, taking off his mask, hitting him with the bricks. And there was this awesome scene where she's under the bridge and he's standing in the trees. That scene just looked so good. Like, there are moments of cinematography in this that look wonderful, and that was one of them. And also just that whole showdown. Yeah, the shot of Michael staying in the trees above Lindsay, awesome. I like Michael setting up the bodies with the Halloween 3 mask. I don't like the little piano. I liked a lot of the music. A lot of the musical cues were so fucking cool. But where it fucking sucked was when Laurie and Hopkins or whatever are talking and there's just like this little piano over it. Made it feel like a fucking soap opera, a cheap soap opera. And it was bad. Ooh. And I believe that, like, both times I watched, I was like, what is this music? Really bad. The honey discussion is the new Bon Me, I said. When the mom finds her kid dead, that was the music, that was another great musical cue when she was looking for Oscar and like it's like got this swell going. Oh man, that was so good. Almost done. Michael setting up the body of the Johns, that was impactful to me, but I was curious. He set them up back
in reverse.
Yeah. Why?
I just think he's inverting shit. I honestly don't know if there's a good reason for it.
Okay.
He also puts a record on, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the fucking what was it? Anne Murray song.
There was another amazing like cinematography shot of Michael standing at the top of the stairs. That was really cool. Dude. Oh, we didn't even talk about it. Dude, Robert Longstreet as Lonnie.
Yeah.
To me, was the best fucking actor in this movie.
He is in everything. I love him.
He's incredible. He was so great.
I don't think that character is fleshed out enough, but
I don't either. I was so bummed because I was like, man, this dude is really making me believe. I wish everybody was capable of doing their job like this man. So he did a great job. And then, I thought the window was inconsistent, but it wasn't. I was kind of confused about what window he was staring at, but it was just his sister's window. Overall, I think this movie suffers from a lot of the same problems that 2018 had, but also some of the things that they gave me. Like I always said, I like the middle section of 2018 where he's sucking around. They gave me that in this one and cut out a lot of the comedy, but I feel like they had new problems where they were trying to do too much and they didn't flesh out their ideas well enough. I still found this movie entertaining, though. Frustrating, but entertaining. And I am like morbidly curious about how this trilogy is going to end. Some things that happened in this movie made 2018 kind of better, or at least more interesting for me. But I was frustrated, and I'm not going to go over those frustrations again because I just read a super long list of shit. So overall, I'm going to give this a 2.5. Like I wish it was better. I wish it could have landed a lot of the things they're trying to propose because they're cool. And I like spending more time with Michael, the burnt mask and stuff like that. But they missed on a lot of things, but it's entertaining. Like if the third movie pays off, this movie could be really cool, but I don't know what it's going to be. And it's another problem with this movie. It cannot stand on its own. It like completely relies on the first movie. It completely relies on 2018. You could never just watch this movie, never. And that's a big negative too. So 2.5 for me.
Right on. Let me slide in here real quick.
All right, Booby, out of 5. I'm curious. I don't know where we're going to land on this.
So like one of the things that David Gordon Green said when he was talking about this movie is like he's something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here, is like all trilogies, you want to have like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I was like, in my mind, like you just want to have like 3 solid movies that can stand on their own. And this movie, like you said, Juice, absolutely cannot stand on its own whatsoever. It could very well be made better if Halloween Ends really sticks the landing. But just to get into like the nuance of this movie, like going into it, I was really, really excited to watch it, as I typically am to watch a brand new Halloween movie. It's just really exciting. Seeing it on the big screen was a lot of fun. I think they like really achieved this fantastic like 1970s filmic look with the flashback sequences that I'm sure was not easy to do. They put a lot of work into it, and I think they did a really great job with it. I wish they would have only had the one flashback at the beginning before the intro credits rolled and cut out the other 2, because the content of the other 2 are they're a complete waste of time. As far as this movie's plot is concerned, they don't matter at all, and I wish they weren't there. I think this movie's trying to do a lot in the way of like commenting on a mob mentality, and I don't really know what it's trying to say because the messaging is like very muddled. In that the beginning of the movie, Michael is surrounded by people. They choose not to kill him. It proves not to matter because he comes back and kills like all their family members anyways. The end of the movie, he's surrounded by a mob. They choose to kill him. It doesn't matter because you can't kill him. He gets up and just fucking kills everybody anyways. So like, I don't know. I mean, they obviously like chase after that one guy they think is Michael, and he ends up killing himself. And as far as I can tell, only Tommy is aware that definitely wasn't Michael. And he feels like, I don't know, maybe a little bit bad, but not that bad. And then he just runs out and keeps like rioting in the streets trying to find the actual Michael Myers. I feel like the portrayal of Tommy Doyle in this movie is fucking terrible. I cannot stand this character. I know that they asked Paul Rudd to do it, and I guess he couldn't do it because of like some sort of scheduling conflict. I feel like a character, a character like Paul Rudd, or somebody who's just like a little bit more relatable, would have done a better job with this character. Like, his character just lacks nuance. Like the second somebody tells him there's a stranger out in the car, he's like, "Yep, that is Michael Myers. I'm going to snatch this baseball bat off of the wall of this bar that does not belong to me, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to beat the fuck of whoever this is. I'm going to beat him to death with a baseball bat." And he he can't fucking wait to do it. And like throughout the movie, we see these like tight close shots of him, and he's like, "Come get me, come get some. I'm going to get you. Come get me." And it's just like there's no nuance. He is not approaching this situation with caution at all whatsoever, or like critical thought. It's just bad. I hate this character. I can't stand it. And he's like one of the main characters of the movie. I also think what they do with Laurie kind of sucks. Like she's bedridden. Obviously that makes sense because she was injured at the end of the first movie. And she like tries to kind of, I guess, rekindle some sort of relationship that she may have had with Hawkins when he's rolled in. And there's this like really ridiculous moment where she gets out of bed and loads a needle up with a whole bunch of drugs and slams it into her ass because she's determined that she has to go out and kill Michael Myers. And that scene is dumb. Do you have something to add, Randy? Go ahead.
I'm so glad you mentioned it, because if you didn't, I was going to say the same shit. Like they literally say in the scene, she does not know what it is. Yeah. So what the fuck happened to Laurie Strode? Like, I know that Halloween 2 is no longer canon, but in that one, she's begging not to be drugged so she can be alert. And this one, she puts a goddamn syringe full of mystery goddamn painkillers into her ass. I don't understand. Like, what? How does she not immediately fucking pass out?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it's a tranquilizer, basically. Like, what the fuck?
I will say I dig the idea of them bringing Lonnie, Tommy, Lindsay, and Marion all back into the movie. I feel like the majority of those characters are just not getting their just dues, and like if they're not, why bring them back into the movie? That doesn't make sense. I like that they get together every Halloween as if there's some sort of like support group. You know, they talk it out. You know, they have this shared trauma. All that makes sense. They should have been the main group of people hunting Michael throughout the movie together. And obviously, they're mostly like older, maybe somewhat inept. They don't really know how to use a gun, perhaps. And Michael would be able to fight them off in the end. And we would have had the whole movie to get to know those characters instead of the random ass motherfucking people that he kills in the end of this movie. And like, it just would have actually carried some weight. But they don't do that. They just kill all these people like off the cuff, and it means essentially nothing. I like the idea of going back to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. I thought that really made a lot of sense. What happens there, I think, is kind of lame, though. I thought Cameron being Lonnie's son made a lot of sense because we're connecting 2018 to 1978 like very clearly, and they share this trauma, and it's not just Laurie and her daughter. It's broader than that. I thought that was a really nice touch, smart. I thought like Karen specifically talking about how Michael is not stalking her mother and trying to convince her mother of that, and her mother absolutely denying the fact that Michael's just like happened to come back to try and kill her, and like tying it directly to her. There's this sort of like generational divide that I like between like the mother and the daughter, and some of that dialogue there. Michael staging all these people, it's nice to see that come back. The monologue that Laurie Strode does over the ending of this movie, where she's like, "Fear is the true curse. You can't defeat him with brute force. The more he kills, the more he transcends." It's just like so over the top and like spoon fed to the audience. This movie treats the audience like we are dumb fucking rocks, and it drives me nuts. So we see like Lonnie, little baby Lonnie in a flashback have a confrontation, like a face-to-face meeting with Michael Myers, and then 5 minutes later we have a flashback to that scene when we see adult Lonnie, because we're too dumb to connect that Lonnie and Lonnie is the same Lonnie. Like, we have to have a flashback. It's bad filmmaking. I just can't deal with it.
What's your score, Bob?
Yeah, I've been going on and on. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and score it. It's a 2.5. It's a 2.5 out of 5. Randy, how do you feel?
So pretty similar. I mean, I here's the thing. I meant to, and I haven't yet really talked about everything in this movie that there is to love, because I think there is a lot to love in this movie. Like, and I've seen a lot of people say like, yeah, if you turn your brain off, it's enjoyable. I have an issue with some of that, and I'll get into that later. But there is some some wisdom there. Like, yeah, this is an enjoyable slasher movie. Like, there's some good kills. It's full of some tension. It has some of it undercut by poor story writing. Really, the story is the problem for me. There are other problems that are lesser, but that's the core problem, is that they undercut themselves at every turn instead of, focusing and bringing things together. It feels like it falls apart instead of enhances itself. So with that in mind, I'm going to read some notes of mine. Most of them, some of them are positive, some of them are negative. One, I really love that title sequence. Justin nailed it. Like these two movies have had the best title sequences outside of the original, and it's because they depend so heavily on the original. I mean, I love it. The fucking flames were really great. I love that. I was going to mention Robert Longstreet?
The actor? Yeah, I think that's his name.
The actor, Lonnie.
Robert Longstreet, yeah.
He is so fucking good, and I've been noticing him since Hill House. He in Midnight Mass, he was great, and he's great. And fucking what is that? I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but he's great in a lot of things, and I really love seeing him. He needs to get more work. He's a great character actor. Let's see. I love. Somebody wrote "Love lives today." It was Anthony Michael Hall said "Love lives today, but evil dies tonight," and that's a huge red flag that comes up time and time again. Like Rob said, the fucking lines in this movie are so goddamn on the nose, cheesy. They feel like they're trying to do fan service, but they do it so goddamn much it feels like pandering nonsense. There's that. There's fucking the boogeyman is at large. Is spoken in this fucking movie. The boogeyman is at large. Fucking what the hell is happening? And then he's turning us into monsters and fucking goddamn. There's just so much of that, and it really bummed me out every time they did it. I talked about Laurie drugging herself. I laughed. I wrote a note that said, "LOA." Okay, the Halloween weirdo is Bob, which was Big John. When he started singing with his doobie, singing boogeyman songs in his Halloween house, I was like, "Yep, this is Bob. This is Bob's spirit
in his robe."
Yep,
he's just living his life, his best life.
That's where you're headed, Bob.
He's living your best life.
Give me charcuterie and spooky shit and a fat doobie.
We gotta find you. We gotta find you a Little John, a Michael McDonald type. Let's see. I kind of dig that they're expanding on the following up with previous victims. So yeah, again, like Justin, you brought that up. Like they're bringing these characters back. Rob, you brought that up. I also like that. I like the idea of expanding it, including some kills that are people we don't know, including some people that have trauma that we've never considered, like the mother of a previous victim that we've never seen before. Shit like that. And the idea, the core conceit of Haddonfield having a sort of collective trauma of its own is an interesting idea, but it seems like Haddonfield's forgotten that trauma somehow, and it's only being reminded by Anthony Michael Hall by saying shit like the boogeyman is at large. And I'm sorry, I don't buy that. And I don't buy that the guy who's saying that doesn't know what Michael Myers' true face looks like. I don't buy any of that shit. I'm sorry. Based on, so I was thinking about Hawkins, middle of the film, I wrote this down. I wrote that they're having this conversation about how Hawkins shouldn't have let Michael Myers live. And I'm like, that's kind of a fucked up thing outside of the context of a movie like this. That's a pretty, you're advocating for fucking capital justice. You're Judge Dredding a little bit here, guy. And I just don't I wasn't big on that, but then don't worry, because it's completely undercut by the fact that, don't worry, he is pure evil, and maybe you should have tried to kill him, but he wouldn't have succeeded anyway. So fuck it. I don't like that. I don't like that. The sheriff said, Sheriff Brackett said, now he's turning us into monsters. And I wrote, it's just sitting there on a silver platter, laid it on way too thick. And I still stand by that. The score, while Michael Myers is chasing Allison, fucking rules. In the Myers house, when she's going in there after Lonnie and his son, it's a great, I almost never notice musical scores, even in movies where it's great. That was one, my favorite it didn't seem like something, at least to my ear, like I had heard before in Halloween. It just fit perfectly, though. Love that. I love Judy Greer curb stomping Michael Myers, literally. I thought that was fucking hilarious. I don't they beat the fuck out of this guy, and I wrote, why do they not decapitate this motherfucker? I know that it's been done movie wise, but how the fuck does Judy Greer not take that knife and slice this dude's head off? Like, you want it done, you do it. Like,
it would have just been Ben Tramer, like, getting decapitated. Like, it's always been.
Yeah, it would have just.
Why did they bring Ben Tramer back?
Where's he at?
Dude, they always have to mention Ben Tramer constly. Every fucking movie.
I know.
But never see him. He's like the fucking ghost of Haddonfield. I also like this whole overdub at the end of Laurie talking to Hawkins and like, evil is really fear, and fear will never leave us. He can't die. It can't die. And all this shit seems to be implying that she suddenly knows that he's supernatural, despite, I don't know, trying to kill him for a whole 2 movies.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, did she come to this realization now? And if so, is it just because she talked to Hawkins? Like, she doesn't know he's getting his ass beat and walking away from it. She just saw the one time he managed to crawl away from gunshots. And by the way, if I was like, I feel like that scene could have been played as, in my mind, before they showed this movie, it was, if you erase Halloween 2, it was Michael Myers crawls into the woods and then gets caught there. You know what I mean? Like, he just barely gets away, but it's scary in the moment. And I thought that's how they were going to justify it. But no, he goes off and kills some more. And it just, I don't know, that does add credence to him being pure evil, which is something I hate. So it's in this movie alone, I think, or at least in this sequence of movies, it does that, and I hate it.
And that brings you to hurry this up. Your score.
One last thing. Two last things. These sequels needed not to happen, in my opinion. I said that in Halloween 2018. These don't need to happen. This Halloween 2018 was enough on its own. It closed the loop for me. As much as I am interested in some of these ideas, they're not necessary. And it just diminishes by adding lore, where lore is literally the thing that's going to kill the fear. Last but not least, the community over this movie and Malignant, just like Malignant, is just eating itself. And I don't understand why the horror community is suddenly becoming so fucking horrible to itself. If you criticize about this movie's story or something, you're a fucking snob. You're a joyless snob. If you fucking like the slasher aspects of this movie, then you're a dumb cretin that just wants fucking blood. And I don't like either of those positions. I like this movie. It has a lot of fucking good kills. It's a good slasher movie. It's not the best Halloween movie, and it's not the best slasher movie, but it is an enjoyable slasher movie. I give it a 2.5. Holy shit.
Well spoken. I like the ending point, Randy. Bravo. So obviously our aggregate is a 2.5. Let's go ahead and jump into the Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Halloween Kills. Bring on the charcuterie.
Certified.
All right,
really pushing that agenda, aren't you, Bob? You gotta make sure that shit sticks.
I like charcuterie.
He learned from the best, Soju.
Big John.
All right, we're gonna start. What this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment. What we're gonna do. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna give these boys the chance to guess within the best of their ability what the aggregate scores are for both critics and users on RottenTomatoes.com. Starting with critics, there are 149 reviews counted for the critics. We'll start with Bob. What do you think the critics feel about Halloween Kills? What percentage positive?
I don't think it's going to be super high. I'm going to go with a 55%, please.
A 55. Okay. Soju, where are you at with it? Where do you think the critics fell?
Ooh, is it that low? I don't know. I wanted to take a 50, but I assumed Rob was going to go higher because it's been so split. Like even in the Slack and stuff, you know, with the same kind of horror community, whereas like Malignant ended up being like crazy high though, but I don't know. It's a slasher. I don't remember what 2018 got. I'll take the low, I guess. 50. I'll just take the 50.
50 and 55. Well, Soju, you're going to take it. It's 39% certified.
Oh,
wow.
Certified.
I'm not even super proud of that.
Damn.
It feels bad, dude.
Yeah, that feels too low.
Yeah.
39.
This is a middling movie, but it's not a bad movie.
I hate the amount of controversy it's getting.
Yeah.
I get why to me, it's like not so different from the first one. I mean, it is in like general structure and stuff, but to me, the problems that are rearing its head in this one are the things I was saying in the first one. And so I feel a little vindicated, but also I feel like it's about the same. Like maybe 2018 is a little better, but like, I don't know. I don't think it's so different. The same,
except for the lore. Like, I didn't have a problem with this 2018 because I liked the lore that was there because it didn't really add too much. It added just enough to get Michael and Laurie into the same room, and it did it smartly. But this movie does the opposite of that. It adds lore, which is always, always, always a bad idea with Halloween movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it tries to like make points, and it can't make them.
Yeah,
at least they got rid of that. At least they got rid of that shitty comedy, though. Who I really did appreciate that.
I mean, I guess the comedy is kind of the same to me, man.
I don't,
but you know,
I agree with Rob.
I think it's
all right. Let's get over to the user score. The audience score is 2,500 plus verified ratings, so pretty good sample size here. Justin, we'll start with you this time. Where do you think the audience?
2,500. Oof, split. Plus. I think. I'm hoping it's a little higher though, but now I'm unsure. I'll go with a optimistic 60%.
Damn.
60, you said?
Yeah, optimistic 60%. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, 60.
Optimistic 60 sound. I don't know. That sounds like a fucking drink order to me. I'll have an optimistic 60, please. Bob, where do you fall on this one?
I think I'll take my 55 again.
55, really committed to 55.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get swept, Bob. It's a 71%. Positive.
Oh, and that's a hell yeet. Sweet, Bob. Can I get a hell yeet?
Hell yeet. And it also isn't penetrating you. That's a bummer.
That is a bummer. Way to go, Soju. Yeah, so way to go. Here, let's read the critics' consensus and the audience says, which this movie fortunately has both. Critics' consensus says, Halloween Kills should satisfy fans in search of a brute slasher thrill, but in terms of advancing the franchise, it's a bit less than the sum of its bloody parts. I don't think that's unfair at all. I think that's pretty more
fair.
Reasonable than the score.
Yeah, that's pretty on point.
Would indicate.
Yeah.
Audience says, Halloween Kills doesn't do much to move the Michael Myers saga forward, but viewers looking for hardcore horror violence won't be disappointed. Now, I don't know. I would take issue with the idea that it doesn't move the Michael Myers saga forward in that it certainly tries to. It just does it in the worst way, in my opinion. Yeah. It just goes in a bad direction is my problem. Not so much that it doesn't move the needle. I think like canonizing undead zombie Michael Myers is a pretty big fucking step for the character, whether or not I like it.
Yeah. I hope this movie comes out next year because I'm ready to just kind of wrap this up.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Let's go ahead and just tie a bow on this one.
Just wrap it up.
Yeah. Let's read a negative review just for fun. There's an alternate universe where every criticism I've leveled against this movie is actually an asset, but something about the recipe is off. Well, I don't know what the fuck that means. So
somebody's tokening writing reviews. Like what does that even mean?
I don't know. I guess you have to hear it in context because I'm not getting it from that.
Yeah.
All right. That's the end of Rotten Tomatoes. We got it.
All right.
Hey, Little John.
Back to you, Little John.
Little John always tells the truth. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead. That's a pull. Let's go ahead and jump into our trivia section.
It's totally time for trivia.
Okay, boys, it's totally time for trivia. There's actually, for a new movie, maybe because it was delayed a year, there's like quite a bit of trivia on this and some interesting stuff as well. Let me go back through it. We mentioned it before, but I'll say it again. The mask of the three corpses are wearing on the merry-go-round are the Silver Shamrock masks from Halloween 3 Season of the Beach. Yeah. So Jamie Lee Curtis reprises her role as Laurie Strode for a 6th time. And in doing so, she surpassed Donald Pleasance with the most appearances in the series. Yeah. So with this movie, she took the lead on that one.
You don't know what death is.
Yeah. I was waiting to see if there's a little bit more on that. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis, Charles Cyphers, Kyle Richards, Nancy Stevens, and Nick Castle were all in the original Halloween and returned for the sequel, which is cool. I just wish like maybe they should have strung that along, not bring everybody back at the same time, and also not just kill everybody in senseless ways at the same time.
Don't worry, Ben Tramer's coming.
Dude,
he's coming.
I hope they get somebody like super ridiculously handsome to play.
Danny DeVito.
Or Danny DeVito.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. Frank Reynolds' ass is in a Halloween movie. That's the only direction the series can go. It's got to go full. It's got to go full resurrection.
I got my pieces and I started blasting. Dude,
but I don't see so good, so I shot Marion Kramer.
I'd watch the shit out of that Halloween.
Dude, I would watch that every day.
Oh my God. Let me see. So they initially planned to film these films back to back. And I liked it again, kind of like Halloween 2. It took place on the same night. I didn't mention that. They left it kind of open on this one where it was going to continue. But I like the idea that they all just kind of take place on the same night. Anyways, they couldn't film them all back to back to back because of the overall intense schedule. And I'm sure the pandemic situation had something to do with that. Do you know about have they finished wrapping production on?
They are finalizing the script right now, and it is still on schedule to be released next October.
Okay. One of Michael's victims tries to strangle him with a stethoscope. This is a reference to Halloween Deuce, where Michael strangled Bud the Chud with a stethoscope.
Did he? I was never clear on what he did to Bud, because it's in the back room in that shot, and there's
that is true.
I thought he just choked him, but maybe he had a stethoscope.
Maybe, yeah. Sure. Maybe this trivia.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah,
honestly.
There's a lot of references. Oh, of course, the mob kind of thing is kind of a throwback to Halloween 4, where the militia kind of gets together to go fight Michael Myers.
Shit, in Halloween 2, they start pelting things at the Myers house at one point. Yeah. They form a mob kind of then. It just doesn't play out in any way.
So one thing I'll say about this trivia is it really kind of illuminates me to a lot of the references. And I feel like, what's his name who made this movie? Joseph Gordon-Green.
Joseph Gordon-Green, yes.
No, it's not just David. God damn it. I know I was going to fuck that up. Loves the shit out of the Halloween franchise, because in the first scene in the bar, the scene begins with 3 ladies doing a karaoke at an open mic. The song they are singing is She Doesn't Want You Anymore, which was a song recorded in 1985 by the Coupe de Villes. The band has a song in the original 1978 Halloween and consists of John Carpenter, Nick Castle, and the production designer and editor of the original film, Tommy Lee Wallace. So, I mean, there's so many, little things built into tons this.
Of them. Yeah. So many that it makes it so grating when they use giant fucking lines like, everybody's entitled to a great one skiz. Yeah.
One great motherfucking scare, motherfucker.
You don't need to do that. We believe that you're a fan. This is definitely a fan-run film. No question.
I'll do a couple more of the references. A group of trick-or-treaters shows Little John and Big John that one of the candies they provided had a blade that cut through one of their mouths. This is a reference to Halloween Deuce, where a trick-or-treater with a razor blade is stuck in his mouth is taken to the Memorial Hospital, the Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, which we just covered a couple weeks ago. Or maybe last week. Yeah, last week. Also, Karen stabs Michael in the back with a pitchfork. A callback to Halloween 5, where Michael stabs Spitz in the back with a pitchfork. So there's
famous character Spitz.
Oh yes.
Character.
There's so many references in this movie, and a lot of the trivia is just that, a lot of the references. So I know we talked a lot about this film, so I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. But
can I get one? Yeah. Sorry, I have one to add, which I only know because I was looking through the cast list for this. According to IMDb, fucking Bob Odenkirk is in this as a character called Bob. I guess maybe it was a cameo in a crowd, I'm assuming, but I didn't notice him.
Maybe a deleted scene or something?
He's
possibly, but I think he's got a name, so I don't know. Maybe they just put his real name just to do it, but presumably that happens because his character has a name. I don't know.
He pops up and just kicks Michael right in the nuts, and that's how it really ends. Roll credits.
He's Michael's lawyer.
Yeah.
Dude, oh my God, that's where we're headed.
All right,
He's been Tramer, maybe.
The next one's going to be the trial of Michael Myers.
Trial by combat, of course.
Oh my God. Let's go and get into Cooter of the week. Here we go.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what's a cooter and why are we hunting him?
A cooter is a character type and a straight Sean exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, and we want a cooter with the most points. The 5 points are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, do we have a cooter in Halloween Kills? I was trying to think of the number, but I guess it doesn't have one. Halloween 3 again, I guess.
Again. Yeah.
Halloween 3 Redux.
Yeah. So who's the cooter in this movie, boys? I feel like we could probably get us one.
I'm having a hard time identifying one.
Maybe Tommy Doyle.
I mean, there's a lot of characters.
He's definitely Tommy Doyle, but I don't. Smug arrogance. Check.
Yes.
Sure. I wouldn't give him manipulation because I don't think he intentionally lies to anybody.
He's kind of pathetic.
Is he?
He gets his ass whooped by Michael Myers.
He gets
oh yeah, like nobody gets their ass beat by Michael Myers, of course. Famously, he's an easy guy to beat.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I guess the way I liked when he was kind of getting told off by Karen when she's like, "You took my daughter off to look for a murderer, you dumb fool."
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
he's foolish, but I don't know if that really hits.
Yeah.
I mean, smug arrogance, I'll give that because the rounding up of a posse without knowing the full facts is obviously stupid of him.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I wouldn't give him patheticness because he's just like he's no more traumatized by Michael Myers than Laurie Strode, and we love Laurie Strode, so I don't really count that.
Well, we did.
Look and attire. Well, I mean, I don't. In this movie, she doesn't have a lot to do.
She doesn't.
So.
No.
Looking attire.
I just don't see it, man. I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't know if I see it on anybody, unless I'm forgetting someone.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one in this movie because the most fleshed out characters are Big and Little John, and they're fine. We don't really fucking know anybody else.
That's true.
What's weird is I don't remember if he was our Cooter of the Week or not in the 2018 edition, but Allison's boyfriend, Allison, right? Her boyfriend who fucks out, throws her phone in a punch bowl.
I think he might have been our Cooter of the Week.
It was either
he might have been our Cooter of the Week, but he's too traumatized and serious in this one to qualify anymore.
I thought we picked the kid that was trying to make out with her, who's dressed up like a devil.
Could be.
I can't remember.
We might have.
I feel like it was a tight race.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a cooter in this movie.
The kids with the Halloween 3 mask, but I don't think that's enough. They're just fucking kids fucking around on Halloween.
Stealing
I don't know.
Candy. Yeah, and they get murdered. No.
All right, I guess not.
I don't see it.
It's a
Cooter-free film.
Since 2021, Halloween Kills gets off easy. Potentially in this area only. So let's go ahead and talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what you been watching?
I did not have a ton of time on my hands this week, but I did manage to watch a few things. I watched the film Hellfest, which dropped on Netflix recently. I think a lot of people saw it for the first time because of that, and I quite enjoyed it. There's not much to it. I like that actress who's the lead, but it's a weirdly similar role to what I really liked her in, which was the Channel Zero No End House season, which I thought was great. and I thought she was great in that. And there's definitely more in depth than this film, but it's a pretty decent slasher film. I just think it kind of goes nowhere. But that said, the fucking set dressings in this movie are worth the price of admission alone. Like them walking around a fucking hell themed amusement park is amazing. Love that. I watched a documentary that we have watched before called H.H. Holmes, America's First Serial Killer, which is about the serial killer H.H. Holmes, Albert Fish, I think is his real name, which is like a really terrible, like early 90s documentary, like documentary style. It's like cheesy as shit, and I kind of don't trust it entirely because of that. But it taking at face value everything they say, that's a fucking fascinating story. So I have seen it before. I watched it again. I just don't really like I kind of, while I'm watching it, roll my eyes a lot, even though it's about horrific shit. I also finished Midnight Mass finally, and it was incredibly late to the conversation about that, but it's incredible. It's very, very incredible. It's like, even Becky, who watched it all with me, we watched it together, and she was like kind of iffy on it all the way until like maybe the last episode. And she's like, that just stuck the landing. And I was like, yeah, dude, this is just great fucking writing. It's really like interesting preponderance on a lot of things that I'll just let you watch and find out about. So it's great. The performances are great. People say it's too monologue-y, but I couldn't disagree more. It has a lot of monologues and I love every one of them. So yeah, love it. And then last but not least, I finally got around to watching the film His House from 2020, which is an incredible film about a Sudanese couple, South Sudanese couple, fleeing horrible, like a countrywide collapse, it seems like. I do not know my history in this regard, so forgive me. But they're placed into government housing in the UK, and it's apparently haunted. And I don't want to say much more than that because it is an incredibly, incredibly effective film in so many ways. It has a lot to say, I feel like, and I will be watching it again. It's a great film. So that's
I think that was in my top 10 last year, whenever it came out.
I slept on it ever since, but I've been meaning to watch it ever since.
Solid.
It up.
Awesome. Juice, what you been watching?
Ooh, we skipped like a couple weeks, so quite a bit. I think the biggest thing I watched, once I finished Midnight Mass, I started the Squid Games, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one. Something Squid Games. The Hunger Squids. I watched that and finished it. It's good, and I will be doing a mini review on that one. It's essentially, if you don't know, it's like a Korean Hunger Games kind of. And it was super good. I enjoyed it. I finally watched was Shang-Chi, whatever, that Marvel movie. And that was really good too. I like that one a lot. It's got all Jung from Kim's Convenience, which I've also been watching. That's also a really good show. It's like a fun, light comedy if you're looking for something lighter. It's about like a Korean family that are immigrants to Canada, and they like own a convenience store. It's called Kim's Convenience. It's really fun. I've been watching just some lighter Halloween stuff, like some Charlie Brown show. There's a show that's got like some Halloween episodes. I watched some of that. I watched like some of the Community Halloween episodes, which are fun. I watched some of the horror themed Rick and Morty's. They've got a Nightmare on Elm Street spoof, and they've also got a Hellraiser spoof. So I watched both of those. Those are fun. I watched a movie. I watched some of the James Bonds because they were on TV. The James Bonds, I hadn't seen them since they came out in theaters, but I guess since the last James Bond movie came out with Daniel Craig, it was Spectre and Quantum of Solace, maybe. I don't know. The two of his, not the casino one, were playing, and I hadn't seen them. I enjoy those. Are movies that I enjoy, and when they come out in theaters, I usually go see them, but I kind of never ever watch them again. They're kind of one and dones for me, but they're really well made, and Daniel Craig does a fantastic job. He's a great Bond. I just never think of them outside of oh yeah, I need to check this out. So when they're on TV, I was like, oh yeah, I don't watch this again, and they're good. I think that's about it, though. That's all I can remember. Booby, what you been watching?
Yo. So I rewatched Halloween 2018 with the squad on Friday, hanging out for the Chilloween party, which was a lot of fun.
Pumpkins.
Hadn't seen it in a minute, and I know, Randy, you mentioned you hadn't seen it since we first covered it back in 2018 when it came out, and I was sort of like living vicariously through you, because like throughout the night, the more alcohol we consumed, the more you fucking loved that movie, and I got a kick out of it, man. I fucking love that so much.
Good.
But yeah, the commentary and the chatter that we had while we were watching Halloween 2018 was a ton of fun. I also watched this movie called Blood for Dracula. This is a Dracula movie, obviously, that was produced by Andy Warhol. I'd never seen it before. It is sort of like, I guess, trying to channel like Hammer horror Dracula. It's like, it's very talky, it's very slow, it's very moody, it's very like big castle, sort of like classic horror, and it is a pile of shit. This movie is terrible. God damn. It's really like...
What's it called?
Blood for Dracula.
Okay.
It's some of the worst acting I have ever seen in any movie, really. It's people that are... It feels like they're literally just reading cue cards to one another, and there's no emotion.
The old Birdemic, huh?
Dude, it's
just
like
watched
on
Jacko.
the same level.
I mean...
I think Jacko
really?
Like,
Holy
it's
shit.
on the same level.
Holy shit.
The production value is decent for Blood for Dracula, so it looks better, but the acting is like pretty much on the same level. So like it does look more impressive. Don't get me wrong there. I want to give away the ending, but I guess I shouldn't. It's silly. It's a very silly ending, and I feel like this whole movie is just an excuse to show some tits. It sucks.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
that sounds like a throwback to horror to me.
My boy Randy Warhol, thank you. I made a trip down to Orlando this past weekend to watch a movie at the Enzian Theater. I'd never been to the Enzian before. It's like a small our house theater in Orlando, and it's fucking great. Have you been, Randy?
I haven't. I've met and talked to some of the designers that make posters for their custom shows, though, and they've told me all about it. I've been wanting to go for a long time, and I know it's got a great reputation. So
yeah, it's a really beautiful theater. It's very comfortable. It's a decent size. They only have the one theater, and they've also got like a full restaurant and like a pretty sizable bar outside. It's just like really, it's a very pleasant atmosphere. Anyway, they have this whole like Halloween list of movies. It's like 13 days of Halloween. They're showing 13 horror movies throughout the month of October. And we went down to watch Nosferatu the Vampire, which is not the original Nosferatu from like 1923 or whatever it is. It's like the 70s remake. Like Werner Herzog directed it. Klaus Kinski plays Nosferatu. And that movie's like really fucking incredible. I've always enjoyed it. I watched it for the first time like a couple years ago. I thought it was really, really great. And they had a professor from one of the local colleges. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one, but she was there. She sort of introduced the movie and then gave a talk about the movie afterwards. It's just like a really pleasant experience, and it was cool to see that movie on the big screen specifically. It is a beautifully shot film. It is a wonderful like vampire movie. It's very slow and methodical in what it does. And like when you see Nosferatu on the screen as he moves, like he almost like sucks the light out of whatever corner of the picture he's in. Like light will exist everywhere else, and he just like removes it wherever he moves to. It's like, I don't know, man. That movie is fucking incredible. If you want like sort of some newer like classical kind of like literature, like literary horror,
Try Blood for Dracula.
No, do not. Check out Nosferatu the Vampire. I feel like everybody watches the OG from the 20s and the remake from the 70s kind of gets looked over. It is 100% worth your time. I really recommend that movie. That's what I've been watching. That's all I got. Let's go ahead and jump into our last segment, which is, of course, our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We have 3 voicemails this week. First up, I believe we're hearing from our boy Hydraberg. Let's hear what he has to say.
What up, gentlemen? It's your boy Hydraberg. I'm just in the kitchen right now making myself a little omelet and some kielbasa. I posted it in the Slack. I know you've seen it. Anyway, I haven't called in a while. I'm busy with life and everything. But I just want to say that, still loving the show. Loving the Slack community. I want to give a shout out real quick to Bob for coming on Cut Above about a month or 2 ago to review The Ritual. It was a good time. I can't wait to have the other boys on. And I want to give a shout out to Jacqueline and John Richards, my co-hosts. I'm really proud of the work we've been doing on there. And it's a work in progress, and it's coming along really well. I also wanted to chime in about the topic from a couple weeks ago, because I'm behind. Movies that scared me as a kid that weren't necessarily horror. Man, Superman 3, that fucking scene towards the end where that, ugly lady gets, stuck in that contraption. I haven't seen it in a while, but, and she, gets wrapped around, circuitry and all this other bullshit and turns her into, this cybernetic, robot thing. That shit scared the shit out of me as a kid, man. It was really intense. And it's a Superman movie, so you are not anticipating that. Superman 1 and 2 is, pretty, happy-go-lucky sort of Superman, you know what I mean? It's good for kids. Richard Donner was just killing it. And just, I don't know, that scene I remember sticking with me, man. The short circuit scene, too, that you guys mentioned a while ago, definitely. That scene did it, too. But, man, that Superman scene totally sticks with me. And I just wanted to chime in and say that and let you guys know. Because I don't know if anybody's ever seen it. You don't have to watch the whole movie because I can't remember. I think it's trash. But check out the scene at least. It's pretty good. I think it still holds up. With that said, I'm just gonna go and say I hope you guys keep chilling and keep it creepy. Thank you.
Well, it wouldn't be a Hydraberg call if he didn't recommend we watch some trash.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
I've never seen it either.
I've never seen Superman, honestly, any of them. Except for none of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. I never have. To my shame.
Apparently we shouldn't watch 3 because it's probably trash, but watch that one scene.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Throw it in the trash.
Throw it in the trash. So I just started blasting, but I don't see so good.
Oh, Ben Tramer.
We should start a petition right now. They haven't started filming
We need
yet.
to.
Ben Tramer has to be in Halloween Ends.
If they couldn't get Danny DeVito as Mario, I just don't know how we're going to make that happen.
Ben Tramer, Danny DeVito, it's got to happen. I just started blasting.
Hey, Laurie! I don't know, just imagining that interaction got blue real quick.
All sins would be forgiven.
He obviously would die, and they would throw his body in the trash. Finally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Michael Myers would personally throw him into the trash.
They would then roll credits. That's the end of Halloween.
Yeah. That would be worth the squeeze, man. That's worth the multi-million-dollar film releases.
That joke.
That
one joke would do it for him.
The third installment would be centered around crow's milk or crow-teen, whatever the fuck that is.
Crow-teen.
Crow-teen.
Fight with the power of the crow.
Fight milk.
It all comes back to Sunny in Philadelphia. Thanks for calling.
Always.
Thanks for grilling up some gnarly sausages while you're talking to us. We're big fans of that.
Yeah, thanks for your kielbasa talk.
Halloween kills Bossa.
Halloween kill Bossa.
Next up, we're going to hear from our boy Tom. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, Straight Chillin' Gang. Tom here calling in. I just want to offer some advice to any of the listeners out there who are not a part of the Slack community, because they are some of the most supportive, wonderful people on all of the internet, and I've had just a miserable day, and their warm wishes and kindness is just overwhelming. All right, sorry to be sympathetic with you and cry a little bit, but love you guys. Take care. Have a great Halloween. See you soon.
Don't ever get sympathetic on us, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
No, that was extra nice.
That's
man.
very sweet,
thanks for
man.
calling in, Thomas.
Yeah, we hope you're feeling
But
better,
it is
man.
also true.
Yeah.
It's also true. And I don't think that's due to us so much as it is
everybody else.
Great people that has been attracted to us. So congrats to us, really.
Yeah.
Hope everything's going all right, man.
Yeah.
We had our birthday recently. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tom. To like touch back on something you were mentioning, Rennie, about like how the horror community is like very split on certain movies that have come out this year, and it seems to be less of like an inclusive and fun environment. That's one thing that like does not exist within our own Slack community. And kudos to everybody who participates. Like, we fucking love hanging out with y'all, and thank you for that.
I mean, there are definitely some passionate opinions expressed. Don't get us wrong, but people are pretty goddamn respectful of each other. And you know, it's like, these are movies. It's supposed to be fun. Even when you disagree, it's supposed to be a fun level disagreement. I have a lot of problems with this film. I know that our boy Miles has a ton of fucking problems with this film. It came in hot as shit on the Slack recently.
Couple people came in,
and then some people came in and said, "Hey, I kind of liked it," and they like just chatted about a movie. That's what this shit is supposed to be.
Yes.
So enjoy yourselves, please. And stop being dicks.
It should be a release, not like full blown war. You shouldn't like mob each other up and go to war. Anyway,
there's more than one way to like a movie or dislike a movie, guys. So just remember that, please.
Doubt it.
Next up, we're going to hear from Logan. Let's hear what Logan has to say.
What's up, bitches? It's Logan. Just wanted to say that the party was fucking awesome. I love getting to hang out and talk to everybody. And also, top karaoke hits. Number one definitely has to be Cowboy Take Me Away by formerly known as the Dixie Chicks, now the Chicks. Close second would have to be No One Has to Know by Shania Twain. And then my number three is Danger Zone, Kenny Loggins. All fucking bangers, but I could karaoke just about anything. Hope y'all had a great week. See y'all later. Talk to y'all later, I guess. Bye.
I forgot about our karaoke question.
That's a good
question. I'm going with a Chick song. I'm going with Wide Open Spaces every time. Every time.
I like my spaces wide open, please.
I need him open. I need him wide open.
I don't like being taken away by a cowboy, though. So I'm not singing that. That's not my vibe. Thanks for calling in, Logan. Always good to hear from you. Next time, just call in and sing us a little bit. Sing us a little ditty. See what you got.
Oh yeah.
Open up them pipes.
Something non-copywritten, please.
Yes. Gentlemen, do you guys have any prompts you want to pose for next week's show? Anything you want to put out there?
I think that, like, honestly, like, we don't usually call for this explicit, like, this connected of a question, but I'm honestly curious what people think about this movie. And I kind of want to know what people have to say about it. There are some passionate opinions out there. And hopefully, I mean, call in respectfully, of course, please, because please understand that there are other ways to like this movie or dislike this movie or any movie for that matter. There's a million different critical approaches you can take. I want to hear yours. Like, do you have a specific reason that we didn't talk about for liking this movie or liking the decisions this movie made? Or are there even more reasons not to like this film than what we bitched about here? I'd love to know more.
Is this movie better than Malignant? That's what.
Oh my God. I do not want to start that fucking poll. I'm taking a hands-off approach if we go.
You've already opened up the can, Randy.
It's too hot. Too hot to handle.
Nope.
I don't want it. Yeah, call in. Let us know your thoughts about Halloween Kielbasa. We want to know. Hit us up at 904.
What do you think's going to happen in Ends, too? I want to know that.
Are you a Big John or a Little John? How do you identify?
That's the real question.
Does that indicate sleeping position or
whatever you want,
indicates
Randy?
A lot of things.
Whatever you
I'm
want.
a Big John.
Hit us up at 904-638-3231.
Bad John.
Let us know who else should play Ben Tramer. I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
He's
there's a million questions
in the next movie. He's gonna be. I guarantee it.
Gonna be Emo Phillips.
Man. That's going to do it for us this week here at Straight Chilling. We'll be back next week with a brand new show, as always. We're going to be making a return to something we introduced last Halloween season, in which we were talking about The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors, which was a lot of fun. It was something a little bit different, kind of shake up the Halloween season a little bit. Last year, we talked about episodes 1 through 4. This year, we're talking about episodes 5, 6, and 7. And we're also going to be joined yet again by our good friend Warren, who's got a podcast called Simpsons is Greater Than. You can find that anywhere you get your podcast. He knows an insane amount about The Simpsons, and we look forward to chatting with him once again. So slam your eyeballs in a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 5 through 7. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. On Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on our daily Slack channel conversations, just hit us up. Let us know. I'll send you a link so you can do so. And until next time, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
You don't know what death is.